Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the monthly Shariah webinar series, first series of 2025, brought to you by Bank Rakyat, INCEIF University, the International Islamic University of Malaysia, IIUM, and Derasat for Research and Consulting in Islamic Banking. My name is Izzuddin, and it is my pleasure, as always, to be your MC for our monthly webinar series. And for those of you who don't know, this monthly Sharia webinar series started back in 2023. We embarked on this journey with Bank Rakyat, and alhamdulillah, we have now done a monthly series starting from last year. Inshallah, we will continue doing a monthly webinar this year as well, inshallah. Now, today's topic, we have quite an interesting and exciting one. Will be presented by Ustaz Wan Rumaizi Wan Hussein. He is the chairman of the Sharia Committee and board member of Aeon Bank, and he is also a well-known speaker, at least locally here in Malaysia, being featured in multiple events, forums, conferences, and so on. And today's topic, where he will be talking about AI, big data, and Islamic finance, a Sharia perspective. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I pass the floor on to him, I would just like to remind everyone once again on the housekeeping, if you will. Just for questions, if you have any questions, do submit them in the Q&A window below, and during the Q&A session, hopefully in about after half an hour or 40 minutes of Ustaz's presentation, we will do the Q&A, and I will try to my best to ask all the questions within the allotted time, inshallah. So do submit your questions in the Q&A window, and then we will address them accordingly. So without any further ado, I would now like to pass the floor on to Ustaz Wan Rumaizi for our session today. Tafaddal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Izzuddin, the moderator. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal-mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidna 'ilma. Allahumma nawwir qulubana bi nuri hidayatik kama nawwarta al-ardha bi nuri shamsik. Distinguished guests, esteemed scholars, respected practitioners of Islamic finance, fellow academicians, student of knowledge, mashayikh, and all participants joining us today, whether from the banking sector, academic institution, or the general public, welcome and thank you for being with us. And I would like to first begin with by expressing my gratitude to our honorable organizers, a commendable collab between Bank Rakyat, INCEIF University, IIUM, and Derasat. Thank you for creating this platform to discuss such a timely and an important topic, artificial intelligence, big data, and Islamic finance from Sharia perspective. A special thanks also go as well to Aeon Bank for their support and granting me the opportunity to share insight and experiences that reflect our journey in embracing Sharia principle within the digital bank landscape. And it is really truly inspiring to see many individuals from diverse backgrounds coming together today, spare sometimes, and sacrificing their lunchtime to explore how Islamic value can guide and enrich innovation in the evolving financial ecosystem. Before venturing deeper into the interesting part of the topic, I would like to set the right tone of these presentations. And of course, this is not a live fatwa session. It is not intended to give definitive answer to whatever whatever questions or issues that may arise from the topic, but rather this session is meant to more like explore research problems, issues of fiqh, issues that coming out from the use of big data through AI technological stack in digital banking landscape. I am or more precisely, we are sharing our fiqh journey in managing Shariah when we are building an Islamic digital bank from a clean slate, from a scratch. Of course, we believe that through this kind of sharing, we could enrich the knowledge database within the Islamic finance industry. We could entice more curiosity. We could waking up the academic desire to search more in this area, because truly it is worthwhile to finally provide more matured fiqhi response and answers to issues in this kind of technology, the unavoidable, the inevitably coming technology. And finally, we genuinely hope that there will be more discussion in this topic in the nearest future. And actually, there are many other concerns which warrant attention from all of us in this topic or in this area, such as automation, contract automation issue, monetizations of reward points or monetization of loyalty programs, gamification of product and services, issues of synchronization of data from core banking system to the trading system, and much more. The list is never ending and the issues are abundant. And the topic of artificial intelligence itself has so many sides that scholars need to be updated and respond accordingly. Right. After this introductory remarks, it's actually I prepared some slide. Let me give me a few minutes to share my slide. Bismillah. I hope that this is visible, okay, to everyone. Okay, so to navigate through. Okay, so for easy reference of this discussion, we have provided some points as a content lah. So the content of my presentation will be arranged in this order. Some background on digital bank and ION bank specifically, and then I'll navigate through the topic through or according on how the data is processed from the data collection to the data management, data analysis and visualization, decision making and reporting, and lossy deployment and feedback. I believe that understanding this process is vital and significant enough for us to understand the key issues that ensue. As a digital bank, ION or any other similar digital bank are digital-only financial institutions, which mean no physical touch point for the customer except through apps in the smartphones. So naturally, this kind of branchless nature makes the digital bank targets the digital native from the mass populations, the savvy Gen X's, the Gen Y, the Gen Z, and even the upcoming Gen Alpha, or as a future potential users and customers, especially those who had little or zero experience walking into a brick and mortar branch before. So with digital apps as the only medium of offering service and product, aside from support service through chatbot and call centers, the way of how the bank operates would be significantly different from the traditional bank or what we call incumbent bank. Digital bank, ION included, would focus on intuitive or enhanced user experience, UX, to engage with customer. So the customer would be put right into the center of any bank product and services that digital bank would want to develop. The behavior of the customer means so much to us So much so that the product has to be agile enough to listen and to observe to what our user or our customer want and react accordingly in real time. So this would make the architectural design of digital bank rely heavily on microservices with cloud-based technological stack in the back end of operation. So naturally, it will lead to optimizations of artificial intelligence, a technology that is purely data-driven. So AI cannot operate without data. IIUM Bank, for example, is a 200 years brand in Japan and 40 years household name in Malaysia, has amassed a lot of data through or within their own ecosystem, through transactional data, the customers' data that reside within IIUM Mall, IIUM Credits, IIUM Bigs, IIUM Wellness Premises, Daiso, etc. So these data sets within the group would drive innovation in the product offering, in the sense of the digital banks would be agile enough to respond and follow the patterns of customers' behavior to bring the best of UX for them. So that's why we call it the intuitive offering. And this is also considerably true to other incumbent banks in Malaysia who had a very good job in digitalizing their products or migrating from web-based into an app-based. They would need data. So at the end, inevitably, we as Shariah scholars need to discuss the big data that use as fuel, use as the main ingredients of forward and future banking product and services. I don't know if you know this, but in Indonesia, GoTo Group has introduced the what we call it DIRA, the first AI-based fintech voice assistant in Bahasa Indonesia. So what does this DIRA allows to do, or the capability is just to the user you just use a voice assistant to navigate through the app's features and perform various tasks using just a mere voice command. Go fetch Gojek, for example, pay my bills, send money to such and such. So these are the future of products in the digital landscape. And this is what the customers will experience at the front end of this kind of product and services. However, at the middleware processes and the back end sections, things are done invisibly to the customers. But this doesn't mean that it should be invisible to us, Shariah scholars. We need not only to understand, but we also need to be able to decipher. We need to able to break down the processes happen along the way before it goes to the front end section. This is because the use case of AI in digital banking, especially, is not just for hyper personalization, like what being used by DIRA, for example. Generative AI or AI in general would be used in chatbot, in preparing virtual assistant, in credit modeling and decisioning, in credit evaluation and in credit risk analysis, in compliance and risk system through applications of Girard, for example. The AI will be used to auto-compile and generate reports, cross-check between reports, read and analyze risk pattern, fraud detection, client verification, and in cybersecurity, AI can detect threat and can detect cyber anomaly, for example. So this is where we begin, because data holds power. The greater the data, the greater the potential. But of course, with great power comes great responsibilities. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this kind of introduction, This led to us to question what is actually big data. So if you refer to a simple encyclopedia or just research at Google, big data refers to an extensive and diverse data set that expand rapidly over time. And this data set is characterized by three dimensions, three V's, they call it: the volume, the velocity, and the varieties. The volume means that, or refers to the sheer amount of data. It is a big data, and it is insanely large amount of data. And the velocity refers to the speed which the data is generated and the data is gathered. It has to be generated and gathered rapidly and constantly. Varieties refer to the wide range of data type of source. It can be email, it can be sound, it can be voice, it can be activity logs, can be transactional numbers, it can be date, time, and it can be location as well. So a very large set of data produced by people, produced by users like us, and can only be stored, understood, and used with the help of special tools and methods, right? So, right. So we would be discussing this according to the data analytic process flow. We would go and examine the data, how the data is acquired and collected. And after that, we go to how the data is managed and prepared. And we go to the data analysis and decision making, and also and lastly, to the deployment and feedback. And along with this discussion, I will share some Sharia concern or what are the Sharia issues entails in each of these processes. So looking at the how the data is acquired from this perspective, there are looking from the perspective of method how the data is acquired. There are what we call volunteer data, and there are what we call observed data. There are something that we call inferred data, and there are data that is fetched or obtained from third party. The data in the volunteer data is meant for data that is provided directly by the customer, volunteered by the owner, the customers themselves. For example, photos uploaded in social media, activities shared with them, timeline, personal information given, or demographic or income details. Even though it is not requested from anyone, or even if requested by someone. So here are the first issues of fixed raise or arise. Even if the data is volunteered, does that mean we can use it freely? Especially if the data is obtained under certain pretext or under certain conditions, right? To register something or to just open an email, that requires our names and requires normally our handphones, right? So in the pretext of opening email account, we have given voluntarily given our names and our handphones as a method to verify our identity and as method to email recovery and so on and so forth. So can we use the data given by, volunteered by the owner for other purposes from what the consent is given? Can we use the data for our purposes even if it is obtained freely? and publicly and not under any pretext. So when the info is given freely, another issue would be when the info is given freely, who actually owns the data? They give the data freely and voluntarily or under certain pretext, or even if the data is available in public or general public website, for example, after it will obtain and stored, who actually owns the data? Coming to the next source of method, how the data is obtained from the observations, information gained through observation, through activities. Here we can further classify into two actually. Activity done privately, for example, transactional, transaction between buyer and seller. Supposedly that data, that the transactional data, is only between buyer and seller, is not privy to anyone else. Or activities done publicly at large, where it can be observed by anyone by unavoidable observation. For example, how many times this humble Allah goes to Jum'ah prayer at this particular masjid, or someone observe that this particular customer enters into a premise at this time, normally at 10 a.m. Every day, for example, or someone observe that a client enter the parking lot at 7:30 p.m. every day in work days, for example. So those kind of activities. What can we share on what can we utilize from these two types, and what types can we manipulate for our own purposes, and where are the concern in it, for example? And in the third types, the inferred data, derived from volunteered or observed data. Here the example is just like credit score. The data that comes from insight or understanding. This understanding sometimes gained by sheer brain power, or this understanding gained by tools or means. So we claim ownership over this understanding, especially if the understanding is obtained through tools and means that involve costs. Later on, when we see in the data processing, data analysis, it involves special tools and special means. Like when we define big data just now, we define that it is a relatively large amount of data that is stored within special means and analyzed through special methods. So of course, these special means and method often than not will involve cost. So our understanding gained from observations, right? Our analysis, which involve that cost. So can we, after we obtain insight and understanding, can we claim over this data? Can we claim over this understanding that this is something that I acquired through my understanding? All right. And lastly, data obtained from other people. So this will invoke a very basic question, actually. What is the original status of data? Is it a actual alma, a recognized asset under the Shariah principle, so that it can be obtained, it can be transferred, without any monetary consideration, or with material consideration, or given freely? If yes, then what is the appropriate contract? If no, then what are the Shariah grounds on that? And these classifications of data acquisition is not exhaustive. It's not that exhaustive actually. It's just one from one angle. There are other several angles of perspective how the data can be classified. For example, by looking into the essence of the data. For example, personal data, personal info of users, name, national card, national identity card number, address, telephone number, spouses, children names, vehicles, etc. If it is freely given, or if the owners doesn't care, actually. So what are the Shariah parameters for this kind of data? And secondly, the data that is gained and obtained publicly, the public data, the information that is normally known to the public at large, information shared by website, information shared by newspaper, by publications. Like today, for example, everyone knows that I am the chairman or OSC of IIUM Bank. So if someone called the bank because they want to get contact with me, can I claim that this is as an infringement of my privacy? So all these questions regarding the Sharia status of each of these variant of types and situation warrant serious and reputable answers. And imagine putting those answers into workable or operable parameters in operating procedures in handling and managing data for Islamic digital bank and even incumbent bank that also use data. Other perspective how to look how the data type of data how it was acquired is um, from the angle of whether it is a structured data, whether it is a unstructured data, or whether it is a semi-structured data. But and of course, maybe this is a story for another time. So looking at the way it was acquired, and then the way it was can be classified into many category according to many perspectives. If you want to just provide a general guiding principles, we can incite some surah from Al-Quran, for example, concerning consent, for example, in Surah An-Nur, verse 27. يا أيها الذين آمنوا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها. Or in terms of how to draw the line in acquiring data or even processing or understanding the data or preserve privacy, not to invoke al-i'tida in Surah Al-Baqarah 190 when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and do not transgress وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ. And in terms of arrangement, if we allow data as alman, and we can incite Al-Ma'idah, verse number 1, أَوْفُوا بِالْعُقُودِ. So here, the subject matter of the contract, the data is honorable from the Sharia perspective, and if yes, then this surah of Al-Ma'idah, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَوْفُوا بِالْعُقُودِ. And in terms of privacy, maybe this hadith from Muslim ibn Nadir, a man asked permission to enter from Huzaifa, and he looked and said, may I come in? Huzaifa said, of course. As for yourself, your physical self is not entered yet, but your eye already enter into my privacy. So here are the guiding principle that we can find into from the sources. But however, the more critical question is how to use this guiding principle as a guidance in each of this variation of data. How the data is the data that is volunteered by the customers, the data is that is observed through activities, the data that is acquired through our understanding, and the data is obtained through third party. And after this, after we understand this, how the data is acquired, we can go and look the next process, which is the data management and how the data is managed and prepared. Big data, just like we have discussed before, requires special means and special tools to contain and to process them. So the big data storage normally, because of their characteristic, the three V's, because of the volume, because of the velocity and variety, we need special tools. For example, here the data storage technologies identified as HDSF are designed to handle the issues arise from volume, velocity, and variety. And of course, like I said before, the story itself needs certain requirement and involve cost. Simply because you cannot properly contain, if you cannot properly contain the data, then you cannot properly process. So there is also Shariah concern here regarding security, because the data obtains contains a lot of sensitive infos, some privacy that honored by Sharia. So the security of the data, the security requirement of data is naturally become an obligation. This is come from the قاعدة الفقهية ما لا يتم الواجب إلا به فهو واجب. It is obligatory that privacy is observed. So, mean to say that to secure data is also wajib. And if this kind of approach is allowed, it means that cybersecurity or digital data are of wajib status. A half-hearted approach to design security level or a system that is not resilient enough would have an akhirat implications. Not to have a reliable cybersecurity system is a sin, and breaching such cybersecurity may constitute to Sharia non-compliant. For example, if we don't take a good care of providing a meaningful pen test, meaningful penetration test, or not having a sufficient level of BCM, business continuity management, or business continuity plan, or as simple as not having an effective user, user assessment management. So would that all of that would have implications of the hukum and in a legal framework of Islamic digital bank that may constitute to SNC. So with this basis, all the things that might lead to security breach has its own Sharia weightage or Sharia merits. When after it was stored with specific mean and specific tools, right? Then it will go to the processing. And data process is because when we amass a lot of data, this big data, to properly analyze, we have to remove noise. What they call it, the data analysis called to remove noise and to remove dirty data, to remove the unwanted elements, to filter and remove the irrelevant data set. We only want specific things from this data. The data we can, what we want from the data is not everything, but specific things. So to prepare the data to another stage, to analysis stage, we need a process where we need to filter the irrelevant data set. We have to filter out the unwanted elements, what we call it, remove dirty data or noise. And this does not come free. It requires effort and time. It requires tools, and these tools normally are very costly. So here, when we are talking about data analysis and data process, from Maqasid Sharia perspective, of course, we can always use Hifz al-Mal, but then that requires, we already answered the question whether the data can be an honorable asset in perspective, in Sharia perspective. If then of course here Hifz al-Mal is can be used, can be applied. Another aspect would be whether looking at the privacy data which contain privacy of a certain people or our customer, with the, even if they give the data voluntarily, but then it may invoke Sharia questions of spying or a tajassus. For example, this is, if we read the hadith of Muslim ibn Nadir, we can understand, even even if the permission is given for you to enter, that is your that is your physical, but when your eyes already penetrate and sees the some part of, the prying into the privacy of a person, whether that things is allowed. And furthermore, it's just not that we know some private aspect of the customer, of the client or user. Normally, digit banks as a commercial institution would want to monetize that, would want to use that for monetary gain. So that kind of approach, whether it is acceptable from Sharia perspective or not. All right. So here, in data analysis and data visualization, these are the things that normally in data analysis, what we impose. We have to make sure the transparency, we have to make sure the purposeful use of the data, we have to comply to PDPA, and of course the PDPA has recently updated 2000, not only PDPA 2010, this is already outdated by PDPA 2024. Another approach, another stringent posed by the regulator in the use of the data. We also have this accountability, the ethical intent, inclusivity, and non-systemic. So when we are talking about transparency, to build trust, we impose in the data management policy, the financial institution must be transparent with the use of customers' personal data. And even if the consent is given, there are still a few considerations to be raised. Thus, the consent asks, for example, the consent asks of explicit things or certain limited purposes. And therefore, the use of the data out of the context, the consent is asked for limited purposes, for explicit purposes. So therefore, if we use the data out of the context, will it invoke Sharia hukum? Sharia, is it prohibited? Is it haram? For example, and if the permissions, the consent given is too general and too broad, and the consent giver is not mindful of the implications of that permission, so will the bank has the right to use or manipulate the data for its own interest? So when we are talking about level of transparency in requesting consent, how to construct a correct communication statement to the customer to ask for the right level of consent, because the institution needs data to process and to offer to develop product for to enhance user experience. But to do that, thus the bank has requested the consent properly. That's what I mean. And another aspect is what means the customer have if they felt that their privacy being violated by the banks. Where will they go? Where will they complain? Because the only touch point is their handphone. Digital bank has no branch at all. So will there be a specific button to lodge complaint? And even then, if we have developed enough channel for them to complain. So here are some considerations when we are talking about transparency. And in terms of purposeful use, when we say it's a societal welfare, used for justice and better decision making, yes, it could be useful to the customer. It has that purpose, but of course, the bank also has another purpose. The bank has to make money, has another intent, commercial intent behind it. Of course, the customer with personal management tools, for example, personal finance management, for example, PFM. The customer knows that how much they have spent this month and where does the expense goes, so that they can decide better. True, but of course the bank will not manipulate, will have some more commercial intent behind it. So what is not being told to the customer. So here there might be some conflict of interest that we need to assess at that level. Another aspect of it is when the data analysis is being made and used. For example, we always have this what we call mask analysis, where the data is masked. The data is some part of the data is being covered. Not all part of the data is being exposed, even to the person who are involved in the data analysis, and not exposed. Analysis would always be like we want a data range of male, for example, a age range between 25 to 45 years old, income 60K to 80K annually, and reside in KL or in suburb of KL, for example. So the data would come in this kind of general and not in very individualistic and very individual info. So this is what we call mass analysis, and in data governance, we have a very strict policy that we have to observe. We have this what we call anonymization by removing identifiable from the data set to protect privacy. We remove certain names, for example. We covered names, we covered telephone number, and we have this data minimization. We only collect necessary data and avoid unnecessary expose of personal info for our purpose. If we don't need personal contact number, then we do not need to collect their numbers. And we have this robust security measure like we have said before, implementing safeguard to prevent unauthorized access or misuse of collected data. So it looked like my my time is how many minutes more? 10 minutes more.
By right, we should open the floor for Q&A already, but it's okay. Maybe another 3-4 minutes.
All right, I just go quickly through to the next slide. I mean, it's just how the data will be used afterward, and of course, this is the outcome of generative AI or AI in general for decision making, for real time insight, for customers customized reporting, and so strategic planning and forecasting. But then it will give rise to some questions like strategic plan and forecasting, for example, how accurate it will be. It depends on how good us in training our AI models, how good us using the correct AI model, whether you are using LLM or other language model or other models like. So, I mean, because of the times, we at this point we cannot help but to wonder what would be the key factor which would largely determine the halalness, the permissibility in optimizing the use of big data. What would it be? The key factor is the original rule of data. Al-aslu fihi madha? Al-man' or al-jawaz. Or the key factor is the way it was obtained with clear and explicit permissions. If the consent is request or what about general and vague statement requesting consent? Will this constitute al-gharar, for example? And what about the type of data? If it is a private data, a sensitive data, then it is haram. If masked, then it is halal. If it is publicly obtained, then halal. Or all of that being rail guarded by general provisions of Sharia, la darara wa la dirar, as long as it does not doesn't give harm to the customers, and it is allowable. So these questions, the fundamental questions, need to be precisely answered, need to be examined, need to be researched and answered by Sharia scholars. And it is not just confined to digital banks actually, because incumbent bank also use customers' data, so it applies to all. Besides these questions, there are other concerns. Buy and sell of data, lease of data, data auction, data swap, and data barter, and all. So to summarize, today's session is just an exploration of fiqhi challenge rising from the integration of AI-driven big data in digital banking. Right? Hopefully, we can enrich the Islamic finance knowledge base, inspire academic research, encourage discussion on emerging issues. We have other concerns to be discussed, but that is that what we call another story for another time. Loyalty program, gamification, contract automation. These are all the questions that need to answers. I think I stop here and I give back the session to Mr. Moderator Izzuddin if there is a Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Ustaz Wan Maizi, for the very thorough and insightful presentation on AI, big data, and its implications from the Sharia perspective. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who have perhaps joined a little bit late or in the middle, if you have any questions, do submit them in the Q&A window below, and I will try my best to answer them or pose those questions to our speaker today within the allotted time, inshallah. Before I move to the Q&A session, just a quick one, Ustaz. I did have some queries already. Can we have the slides? Can we share the slides with our attendees today?
Boleh tak? No problem.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are wondering, we will share the slides after the event is done, once we have posted the recording as well on our social media. So, with that, before I open the floor for the questions from the participants, I would like to open the floor to the questions from our panelists who have joined us today. We have quite a few big names in our attendee list today, including my own big boss. So that was me. If you have any questions, we have Prof. Azman here as well, and Prof. Yunus. Prof. Yunus was here.
Please give a very simple questions. Simple answer. Avoid hard questions.
Yes. So yes, I would like to open the floor for our panelists first.
Assalamualaikum. Can I start?
Assalamu warahmatullah. Tafadhal, Sheikh.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Sheikh Wan for his insightful presentation. I'm actually very happy to hear how Ustaz Wan has transformed himself from being an ordinary Ustaz to a person who is IT savvy. And I think this was his area of interest before. And I'm very happy for the progress he did. And I myself, to be honest, I feel always left behind when it comes to digital and technological competency. At my age, I feel they're left behind. Cannot catch up with the latest development. But it seems like everywhere now, people are using gadget. We cannot get it from the recent development. Some Islamic financial institutions and also conventional financial institutions, they're having actually trouble with when it comes to cybersecurity. And some of them have their system being hacked by the hackers or by the scammers. And sometimes they ask them to pay compensation in the form of cryptocurrency so that you cannot trace who are the scammers. And I'm just wondering, because your bank is known to be based on digital bank, so there must be a very good strategy, very smart preventive measures to tackle the issue of being hacked. And this is very, very challenging. Everywhere people are talking about cybersecurity, and some even Arahanu operators, they develop their own IT system, and they want their system to be tested, and they hire even at UIA IT, Kuliah of IT. The students they give them a sponsorship or grant so that they can test the system. So the student can hack the system to ensure that the system is smart and good enough. Maybe someone can share with us in handling. I mean, if there is such event, the system has been, for example, hacked by a scammer who cannot be identified or cannot be known. But how? I mean, based on your experience, what are the strategies and what are actually the plan in place? Jazakallah khair, sir.
Barakallahu feekum. So first of all, I would like to stress that whether you are a digital bank, whether you are a incumbent bank or normal bank or traditional bank, when it comes to cybersecurity, we are governed by the same framework, by the same RMIT, they call it, framework, which govern the cybersecurity side of the bank. So in tackling the issue of cybersecurity, and because the banks operates and of course digital bank lah, because they are from the start it is a digital, right? So meaning to say that our approach to ensure security, the data security of our customers and also the security of our system has to be top notch at all time. So it's actually it's not the there's a designated task or designated officers to do that. The what you call it, the cybersecurity officer, or even the chief, or have a very, what you call it, the plan, and this plan is constantly being tested. That is the keyword, constantly being tested. And Bank Negara, as regulations, as per regulations, requires us to there is a what do you call it? There is a scheduled tests that need to be done. The obligatory one, the obligation that is the regulated. But more than that, you need to have your own security system. For example, you have to be resilient in terms of attack. Yeah. So because of that, you should have a very good security system. And this security system need to be assessed periodically and constantly, and has to be managed, and has the policy has to be, what you call it, correct lah, at the board level, the policy, and on the implementations by the management, and also the SOP need to be constantly updated and monitored. For your information, as as a digital bank, of course we are vulnerable, bukan vulnerable, we are subject to the attack lah. There are many tries, there are many attempts, just like normal bank lah. But more, if digital bank, they just want to test the water, whether you are good or not good. So the tools like penetration tests, the tools like access, user access management has to be right. You have to have the right person who take care of this cybersecurity officer. So I think that I couldn't answer more correctly or more better, because that is not my ability. But generally, yes, generally that it is. That's the way.
Very good answer. Very good. Very convincing. At least I get some ideas how it works.
All right, thank you very much, Ustaz and Prof. Azman. In the interest of time, I'll just move straight to the questions from our attendees. Yeah. Question from Siti Nurimani Zahari. She asked, "Dear Ustaz, what is the significant concern or perhaps limitation of AI under Sharia principles, while at the same time safeguarding the confidential information, reliability of the AI itself, and promoting justice to the user, either from the Islamic financial institutions to the customer or vice versa?"
Right. When you are using, or you are making your Gen AI or AI models, okay, the most concern is whether the AI models you are using produce reliable outcome, That is the most concern. To do that, you need two things lah. Your data must be correct data, and you need a reliable data. You need the correct amount of data, and you need a correct. You need also another thing is you need to make sure you train the data, train the models. So it will give you the correct outcome, or not the correct outcome, a reliable outcome. If it is not tested, it's not being fed by the correct data, then the outcome is not reliable. And if it is not constantly tested, and constantly trained to the level where it is, there are some measurement in the data analysis sphere, some measurement that it's some benchmark that they are using, then it is not up to the par lah. Because the outcome is not reliable, because we need AI to give us analysis to predict behavior such and such. But if the outcome is crap, or giving something which is not good, then what is the use of AI in this matter? So perhaps we could use our own analysis, not the AI analysis. So those two are I think the most significant concerns, above the concern of the Shariah perspective or Shariah concern that we shared in this session.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Next question, Mr. Aizuddin Danyan asks, I like your name, Mr. Aizuddin. Ustaz, thank you for your lecture. My question is, with enough data and with powerful enough AI, it may soon be possible to predict the future with significant accuracy. For example, with enough data, we can deduce a person's life expectancy and risk factors. With enough with enough data, we will know how long a person has left to live. From an Islamic perspective, the unknown or the unseen in the realm of ownership from Allah. So what is your opinion on this? How do we reconcile leaving the unknown to Allah and yet soon be able to predict the future with accuracy?
MashaAllah. I mean, anyway, Gen AI or AI is just a tool for us to know to have tools for certain purposes. Like, okay, just like for security, we leave our homes, we use lock, right? We lock our car, we lock our home, right, as a tool. So the purpose is for security. And AI here, if you used to predict the future with significant accuracy, but the final saying is always on the creator. Even if we lock, all right, that but incident happens. Even if we, for example, drive the car correctly, right, use the proper maneuver, you have security, have airbag or what, okay, so we can have a defensive measure in case of accidents such as this. But of course, there are other unseen factors. So here is the same things, even though the data we have to predict such and such. But of course, as a Muslim, we believe that the final saying is Allah, always to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But with this tool, what do we, how can we prepare? We can prepare and make ourselves, more prepared in case of anything. Predictions of if you have these symptoms, and most likely that you will your age is you have this problem, most probably that you can live on until this. So what we can do is we can best prepare and leave the final saying to the creator. It does not eliminate the power of creator and the power of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. I think that is which should be our that should be always our way
Our
of
mindset.
dealing things.
Yeah.
Allah Ta'ala.
I guess it's the same method with weather forecasts, for example.
True.
They can predict
Give
to
warning,
high accuracy, but at the end of the day, it's up to Allah. And again, as the old saying goes, we can plan as much as we can, but Allah is the best of planners.
Yeah, but at least we have planning tools for planning.
Of course, yeah. Thank you
And
very much.
perfectness.
All right. Next question from Lailatul Hana Ismail. How does AI help in predicting and mitigating financial risk, such as credit risk or market volatility? And what are the most challenges faced in AI-driven decisions with regulatory standards?
MashaAllah. I mean, these are hard questions. All right. Credit risk and volatility risk. I mean, the most that the AI models do that, they read data and predict and see patterns and behaviors. The pattern, right? So that pattern, they try to predict the outcome of that pattern. So in using AI, it is very useful to have this kind of tools for us to, like we say, to prepare ourselves. Not to be certain 100%, but most likely, these are the trends, these are the risks. Like when it used in detect anomaly, detect risk in credits because of behavior of certain our customers. The pattern of our customers, whether they pay on time, whether they pay, or whether they tend to default. So these read and give us some reading, and this reading will be concluded into certain percentage. So based on that percentage, what would be our appropriate response to this kind of reading? Can we prepare? Can we prepare something because of this trend, for example? And this kind of analysis could be very hard to do and very time consuming if done with a sheer brain power. But with the computations power of a robot, of a computer, then we have this leverage. We can have this leverage so that we can decide accordingly. These are the decision making tools that we can use. Most challenge faced by AI driven is consistency of the data, and how big is our population of the data, so that we can say that our data is correct, our data give us the correct reading. If the sample size is just 1 or 2, how can we say that this will resemble trend of so that is and also the trend for, so the challenge for someone who's just starting for us is do we get the correct data, and do we get the good data, and the data that reside with us is just a few. It's just a few. We cannot have that good data. Not that's like someone who already, for example, the bank who already operates for 10 years and already, or 20 years, or offering financial products. They have a good data there. Whether they use or not, itu cerita lain lah. But they have that amount of data, good enough for them to see the trends.
So, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have at least 9 more questions, but in the interest of time, I'll choose the next 3, I guess. Yeah. We do apologize, but perhaps what we can do is after the session ends, I can share the unanswered questions to Ustaz Wan, and maybe he can just reply via text, and then I will share with everyone. Is that okay, Ustaz?
All right.
Boleh ya? Okay.
I mean, it shows much interest in this topic.
Yes, yes.
Because actually, all these questions, right? Okay, need to be need to be answered by technologies, by the expert in AI, not by a Shariah scholar like me.
Okay. I guess can we take maybe 2 or 3 more questions? Is that? Or do you want? Or
No, I have. It's okay, boleh je, boleh. I will try. I will try.
okay, we'll try.
Maybe not.
Okay.
Nanti ngajuk pula dorang ni.
No. I don't think we can have all, unfortunately, but it's okay. We will try. Assalamualaikum, Ustaz. I have noticed that conventional banks have actively embraced big data and established dedicated data departments. Why do our Islamic financial institutions seem to lag behind in this area? Are there any IFIs that have successfully adopted big data? If so, can you share some examples? Shukran.
I cannot say on behalf of other financial institutions, right? Whether they have a big data department or not. But of course, in ION Bank, we have a specific department handling the data. And if, of course, the data is the technology, we have technologies, we have technicians, we have data analysis. Even we build our credit model based on the data. And even soon we have, we have specific function for that. And of course, this is, it's just something that digital bank need to do. That's one of the area which differ digital bank from many traditional banks. But it's good that if conventional banks or other banks already in the path of establishing their own dedicated data departments. Even audit right now, audit department has taken a path where they use data extensively to track. To track progress and to monitor issues.
Right. Thank you. Next question regarding the use of AI as robo-advisor in answering Islamic finance question. I think it will lack of usul fiqh application. What is your opinion regarding this issue?
Right, robo advisory. Okay. There is one research made by Uthman of Silver Lake, who recently obtained PhD. The research is in this sector. Maybe Salahuddin Ramli can ask him more. But as far as I'm concerned, of course, it depends on which area of Islamic finance questions, whether it is a general question, whether it's a intermediate question, or whether it's expert questions. And I'm quite sure that if it is just a introductory level or generic question on Islamic finance, Robo or Chat AI, Chat GPT can answer correctly to 99.9 level of accuracy. But the more level you go, the more deeper you go. Of course, you cannot have that. And I am totally agree with you. The lack of usul fiqh applications, because these are insight. This understanding needs a human touch. This understanding, whether or not Gen AI or AI in the future can develop such things, I don't know, because the development in this is really tremendous.
Yeah.
They try to put what do you call it, emotion into robot.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yes, Android is robot, so most likely you can have they put emotions in here, right? But of
Yeah.
course, the progress is very. If you see ChatGPT, like for example, a year before, and this year, it will
Quite
be
advanced.
quite advanced and
Yeah.
quite a development.
Yep.
It-
Okay. And last question, I guess. As AI programs evolve at a rapid pace, demonstrating the ability to systematically analyze issues and propose solutions, could Ustaz Wan share your perspective on the relevance and future prospects of the Sharia officer's profession in reviewing documents for compliance with Sharia requirements?
Yeah, this is a concern for everybody, lah. When robot comes in, all right, what will be my position, right?
Yeah, not just Sharia officer, everyone.
Not just our person, everyone is actually. So our correct attitude to this is AI is a tool. AI is a tool, right? AI is a tool for reviewing and complying the Sharia requirement. There are mundane tasks that could be automated by AI. Could be could be through automations, right? So that we can focus more in something else. So the mundane tasks can be optimized through automation, through robot, through RPA. But there are still jobs that need insight, need a judgment from us. For me, for example, I use AI to answer my emails. Out of 20 emails, there are emails that just requires, okay, I received the documents. That's it. But out of 20, there are 5 more that requires more insight, more your judgment. That I need to answer it myself. And even so, there are maybe information that I can use. I can ask Google here, Google there, to precisely give me information that I need. That is how we use technology. Bukan yang merajuk terus and say that, oh, I'm afraid of this, or will take eaten up my
Take my
position.
job.
Take my job. And they're always the answer, not only for us, but in all category. But there are, if you are not aware, if you're not pay attention enough, your skill will be eaten up by technology. So you have to rapidly upskill yourself.
That's right.
Instead of taken over by robot, you can learn to use robot.
That's true. That's true. That's very true.
That is the correct attitude, I think.
Okay, I believe time is already up. I do apologize to our participants who have sent in questions, but we are not able to answer during this time. But what we will do, inshallah, we'll send the questions over to Ustaz Wan. Then he can answer them
by
by
the
text.
way,
Inshallah.
by the way,
Yes, yes.
there are questions that I cannot answer.
Okay.
Need to be answered by data analysts.
All right. Okay. So hopefully when I email Ustaz Wan, he will actually respond. Not the AI will automatically respond to his to my email, inshallah. So hopefully. Any final note, Ustaz Wan, before we end the session?
I just want to thank all the listeners and audience for your kind attentions, actually, and I want to also extend my gratitude to organizers, BKRM, INCEIF, IIUM, Derasat, to providing this platform for me to share, right? And lastly, I want to say that there are many other sides that need to be discussed and need to discuss at I mean, very ASAP, ASAP. So we need to discuss this because the technology is coming, the change is inevitable. So we need to react faster than this. And And this platform can be a way to insight to spark interest and to provide further discussions for this purpose lah. Thank you very much, and I look forward for more meaningful discussion in the future, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Ustaz Wan Rumaizi, for our session today. Alhamdulillah, very insightful, informative, and as I always say, any session that has a lot of questions shows good content and interaction with our speaker, our panelists, and our viewers. Alhamdulillah. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I end the session today. Just a final reminder, we will share the recording and the presentation shared by Ustaz just now to everyone via email, as well as the unanswered question. And for your information as well, the next Sharia webinar series will be on the 20th of February. So see you then with a new topic and another speaker, inshallah. And hopefully by that time, a robot won't be replacing me as the MC or moderator. So I end my duty with wabillahi tawfiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Assalamualaikum.